when I first started trading, and I feel like I'm very technically savvy. I understand software and applications very, very easily. And I'm like, okay, I was all gung ho. I jumped in and I was learning all of the information from IM Academy, going through the different 100, 200, 300 series and so on, getting on Go Lives. Everybody is sharing, who they thought their favorite educators were, who was bringing the most value. And and then I'd like hop on one of their calls and they'd be flying through their TradingView charts and spitting out all of these numbers and talking so fast that to me I was just like, whoa, like it felt like I'm like here learning what's a pip, and they're whipping through these charts, and I just feel like I felt at the time that there was such a big divide between me learning what is a pip or what is Forex, and then being able to understand what they're talking about as they're moving through charts quickly. And, as time progressed and I followed different people, and some people would talk a little bit about how they mark things up, I started to catch on a little bit. And it was really when I started following Teresa religiously, and she would take the time and explain things really patiently, what she was doing. For instance, we all, when she talks about drawing a Fibonacci extension on something, she tells us where to click, like bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. But ultimately, it's still, there was like a barrier in my mind. And so even though I felt like I was understanding the strategy fairly well, there was still a bit of a disconnect. And I didn't think that anybody was doing a really good job of explaining how to use TradingView and why that's valuable to us. Okay, so I basically just said all of this. So not only do we have a language and vocabulary that we're learning that's new to us, there's the technology side of it. There's apps, there's computer programs, there's, everybody seems to be doing something different. And a strategy, just learning even one strategy, it's very, it's all new concepts to us essentially. And then of course the charts. So that was what I found was rather daunting. And after being on Teresa's boot camp the last couple of nights, and thank you all, anybody who reaches out to me, I really appreciate your feedback. And I appreciate that you have trust in me as well, that I have valuable information to share. It's very humbling. But I know that there are a few people who, if they're just new, they still don't know exactly how to get started. And so the very first step is literally just setting up your own account with TradingView. It's very easy to do. There are people were sharing referral links or whatever the other night. If it's something that you think that you may want to upgrade down the road, getting a referral link is beneficial to you and the person who shares it with you. If anybody wants, I have Teresa's handy, and I'd be very happy to share that. If ever you do want to upgrade, you would receive $30 off your membership, and then she would also receive a referral bonus for her future subscriptions. But you really only need the free version for now. So don't worry when you first click on that area. It's going to take you to a bunch of paid memberships. Just keep scrolling down. And the free plan, it's very easy to get started. And then if you've been trading for a while and you're thinking about upgrading, I waited for this I wasn't ready in my first year. I think I waited almost a year and a half to get my membership because everybody was saying, wait for Black Friday, wait for that sale. It was so good. And the first year I looked at it and I thought, oh, am I going to? I don't know. And I didn't do it. And then by the time the next year came around, I had already felt that I should have been on an upgraded plan at that time. And also the slideshow is very, very short because I didn't really know what to put into it. And I want this to be interesting enough for people who are a little bit more advanced that we can kind of go through all the steps, but also know that this will be valuable information for anybody that you might want to introduce to trading, or anybody who might come along who maybe missed some steps or isn't feeling super confident. Okay, well, that's it for the slideshow. So I'm going to get to sharing TradingView, maybe. All right. No, doesn't want to move over. 1 second, please. Okay. So once you have set up your own account, once you're logged in, you'll see your profile information here. And there's a bunch of information in here that you can use. So a lot of times people are like, how do you make your screen dark? Because they want their screen to match mine or whatever. And so your themes are in here, and it's just a toggle switch, so you can turn it off or on. And it's funny because at the retreat, there were people saying like, well, you don't have to worry about that yet. Like, don't worry about showing me how to do that. We'll come back to that later. And it's just as easy as knowing how to navigate where different things are. So I really want this to be interactive, and I want you guys to share the things that you want to know about. But I think for this first session, we'll try to keep it to the more like basic stuff. And then maybe for tomorrow, get into a little bit more advanced things like how to trade directly on TradingView, or you know, a little bit more advanced kind of stuff. So you guys can let me know whether you think that's valuable or what you want to focus on the most. So when you're on this page and you want to find your charts, everything that you kind of want to go to more quickly is under products. There's community, there's markets, there's all these different things that you can learn about, but our chart is here. So if you click on that, it's going to take mine, it's going to take me to a favorite. If you're starting brand new, it's going to take you to Apple. And so up in this top corner here, this is where, again, we can see my profile information, but this is where we would change our symbol. And so if you trade with us every morning with Teresa, of course, you're familiar with the fact that we use US 30, but there are a lot of different versions of US 30 as well. And so there's no right or wrong answer as to which one you use. There's also some that will be called different things. So like Dow Jones 30 or Wall Street 30. And knowing that there's different names for the same thing isn't something I really understood at the beginning either. Teresa currently is using Owanda, which is one of the largest, most reputable brokers that there are. And so their feed is considered a little bit more reliable than maybe some of the other feeds. And that's not to say that they aren't good. It's just to say that the amount of volume that might be in their candles might be a little bit different, or price over here. Why is this so zoomed out? Okay, well, we'll figure this out as we go. So she's using Owanda because their price feed is reliable. And one of the biggest challenges I think that people also experience when they're trying to trade on either their phone or their own desktop, and then they're also watching what somebody's doing on the call, is that the price over here in the ticker, it might be different than what you're seeing on your own screen. And the reason is that all of these different brokers that have different price feeds might have slightly different numbers. So where this left off on Friday on Owanda is 32359. I'm not wearing my glasses because it has so much reflection from the screen and I don't want to distract anyone. So let's find a different broker and let's see the difference. Okay, currency com looks to be exactly the same. Black Bull. Oh, they're also the same. Okay, well, what I was going to show you is that sometimes they're different. Okay, this one's a little bit different. 32356 on Global Prime. And so sometimes you'll hear Teresa say something like, know the difference in price from your own broker. Because if you're not trading directly on your broker on a chart, say on like MT5 desktop or MT4, or if you're on your phone, the prices are going to be possibly a little bit different. And so just knowing what that difference is, that difference can change daily, It can change between sessions. So just, it's nice to be aware of coming on and seeing like, okay, if this one is 4 points off from what my broker is currently, then I know that I'm waiting for price to get to maybe 360 rather than 56, because that's a little bit off. Does anybody have any questions about that currently? No? Okay. So different time frames. Up here, I like to set the things that I use regularly in favorites. And I've been giving little hints when I've been typing up the homework for Teresa on the bootcamp the last few days. There's little stars beside the things that you like to use the most. And so I like to click on because I want to be able to change things very quickly on my charts so that I don't have to kind of mess around and make sure I'm clicking the right buttons to get the information that I want to see. It's a one click for me because I have these favorited versus going into a drop down menu and choosing these different things. So I love to set up the things that I do on a consistent basis. I like to set them up with shortcuts as much as possible. So this is your time frames up here. And I did the same thing also with, there's times where Teresa will say, switch to the line graph to see if there's an M or a W. And so because I use both Japanese candles and line charts, I have them set up here, both of them with a star beside them. Those are my favorites. I won't get into all of the other different types of charting that you can have. I don't use them for myself, but if you wanted to understand different charts or different candle patterns, you're welcome to go and learn about them. What are hollow candles? What are Fibonacci? And so on. Oops, Fibonacci seems to be.
That is awesome, Leah. I just learned something. My Saturday is complete. Thank you very much.
Well, good. I'm so glad.
I was always I was always using the drop down menu and you know it's amazing because you have little like you say, I have shortcuts all over the place, but that's the one I didn't have, and now I have it for the bars for the line graph as well. So thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Absolutely, Mike. That is awesome. Thanks, Leah. I did not know about that either.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, indicators. This is another big thing that we use. Obviously, if you're learning the boss candle strategy, then you're aware that we have a number of different indicators on our chart, and mine is currently naked. So this is basically, this is one of the original matrix indicators that not everybody can get access to anymore. It's kind of hidden, but I still have it because I have an old copy of a chart. But this should be familiar to all of you with the basic EMAs that we use, and then it shows different things like yesterday's high, last week's high, ADR, which stands for average daily range, and that's the average that price moves on a pair for the day. And then you maybe hear Teresa say sometimes that US 30 doesn't respect ADR as much as maybe currency pairs do. And I'm going to be focusing most of what I'm showing on US 30 because that's what we trade with the boss candle strategy. But this information, it does apply to any chart that you could possibly go on to. Fractals is another one that we use. And because I have a paid version, I have the ability to have more indicators on my chart. But just know that you don't require that. And so even with like Jake spending some time and creating a indicator that is specifically for Teresa's strategy, it basically includes almost everything that she has on her chart, including the purple channel. And so it's really, I think, really fantastic that he's taken the time to create something that allows new users to have all of the information on their chart at a glance with really just one indicator too, including the DeLorean TDI. But the same idea happens here. You can favorite your indicator. So it looks like I have quite a lot favorited. Or if you click on this, it'll come up with a search menu. And so you can, again, put a star beside your favorites. So if we were going to search for, let's do 3SMMA, which is one of the ones we used to use. That's for the purple channel. You can see like everything that you would ever want to search will come up in here, and different variations of it. And so just know that different strategies use different things. And then people, of course, will create their own to serve their own purposes. So this is everything that has the SAR in it. There's so many. And I've started like the parabolic SAR for my use. Scripts, I don't have any scripts. If you were to create something or use something in PineScript, it can come on here, and then that can also display on your chart. Technicals, these are things like volume indicators, and like ADR. Financials, none of this really applies to what we're doing as far as I know, but if you are aware of something that might be valuable in there, I think, again, that's one of the beautiful things about having this community is that we can all share the knowledge that we've gained along the way. And then community scripts, these are things that people have published for other people to use publicly within the TradingView community. So yeah, looks like I have a lot of things favorited in here. Probably could go through and clear off a bunch of them. But just know that it's nice to have those things that you use regularly at your fingertips. Indicator templates. Here you can save templates of things if you've maybe changed something. Like for instance, if you, I don't know, maybe with the DeLorean EMAs, which I have as an add-on, these are like the shadow EMAs of the regular EMAs that we use for boss candle strategy. And so if I wanted to customize something, I could perhaps save it in my templates there. Alerts. Adding alerts, there's a few different ways to do it. And this is something that Teresa demonstrates regularly, but I think that people kind of get stuck on sometimes. And so I will offer myself as a resource to anybody. If Teresa ever goes through something and you feel like it was too quick for you, or you didn't fully understand it, don't be shy to reach out to me. I've been doing this for a little while now, and I'm pretty happy to share the knowledge that I've gained. So you can simply add an alert up here, but you have to put in a lot of the information yourself. So you have to know what it is that you're looking to do with it. And so I don't really recommend this as the best way to add an indicator if you're, or sorry, pardon me, an alert if you're brand new. But what do you want it to do? So for instance, if I wanted to add an alert for an EMA shift, I can, oopsies, don't do that. Don't double click. That just opens the indicator. Actually, maybe I should show you guys that, but I'll show you alerts first. So if you right click on something in your indicators or on your chart that you want to add an alert to, you can do so by, it'll take you to some of the pieces already. So this is going to be on my matrix by Juicyman, the 5 EMA, which is the yellow, crossing, again, matrix by Juicyman, 13 EMA. I want to do it once per bar close because almost everything that we're doing with Boss Candle is based on the close of the candle. And I can be notified on the app. I can receive a pop-up. I can receive an email. I can receive a text. If I have TradingView on my phone, the app, and I have it logged in, it will also share with me any of the notifications that have come up on my my alerts for my charts. And then we would call this like 1 minute EMA shift. And again, Teresa also, oh, I'm on the 1 hour chart. Okay, 1 hour. Oh my goodness. Do what I mean, not what I do. Yeah, so it's as simple as doing that and then create. Now, if you get this little warning, sometimes people panic and they're like, okay, cancel. Don't worry about it. It's just telling you that because this is based on an indicator, not necessarily based exactly on price, it may report differently than you anticipated. I'm going to say continue anyway. And now I have a new alert created. On this side over here, there's a whole bunch of other, oh my gosh, sorry, my mouse is going onto my other screen. A whole bunch of other little shortcut keys or shortcut buttons. And so alerts lives over here as well. And you can see everything that I have created. You can turn them on to play, or you can pause them here as well if you don't want to receive alerts because it's too many or something's happening for you. One other thing to note, these alerts do expire. So you can see that a lot of these are off because they've expired. You can come in here and you can edit it and change the dates when you want this to be good until. Where is this? So now if I want this to be good until the end of next month, I don't know how long it allows you to keep them open for. I think it changes based on your subscription level. And so you may have to come in here periodically. If you notice that you're not getting any alerts pop up on your chart, just come in and see if any of them have expired for you and extend the date for them. And I also want to show you guys watch lists. So this is, again, with a paid subscription, you have the ability to have multiple watch lists, but this is where you can add different symbols that you want to watch. Maybe, as you can see here, actually I have one that was just called Global Prime. So this was only Global Prime, the brokers symbols. And you add more by clicking this plus up at the top, and then you can search for different symbols that you want to add. You can also choose the sources. So you could choose whether things are from different countries, whether things are from different brokers, whether they're cryptocurrencies and everything. So don't be afraid to come in and click around and find the things that you want to find, because really you're not going to break it. And the worst thing that's going to happen is you might add something to your chart that you didn't want on there. And you can also just remove them by clicking the X afterwards. So I took that out and I put it back. Does anybody have any questions about alerts or watch lists? No? Okay. So on this left side, we use these things quite a lot. And especially with Teresa's strategy, again, feel free to come in here and play around with what the different icons and symbols and things do. Mostly we're on a crosshair when we are looking at our charts, but maybe somebody who's demonstrating might use an arrow to point at a certain candle. Crosshairs are really valuable because they help us measure things. They help us see where price is in line with. If we're on multiple chart view, so again, this is only for people who have paid subscriptions, and just know that you aren't required to have it. One trick that a lot of people do if they want to see two charts at once is they'll open another version of TradingView and they'll like minimize and have one side by side with another. And so, you know, if they want to see the 1 minute and the 5 minute.
That's actually a very good way to have two charts without having paid for multiple charts, right? That's what Jake does. If you guys watch Jake, he has two charts open. He shrunk them in half, and that's how we get to see his 1 and his 5, right? So
yeah, and so I think it's another. Okay, this one. Okay, click this one. There's little workarounds, right? Little ways that you can kind of stretch your dollars, because I think too, when you're learning to trade, there's a lot of costs and you don't necessarily need to rush and feel like you have to get the paid upgrades and like the most expensive options of this or that. Just start with where you're at, and then look for. Okay, so Stephanie, you're asking, how do I set up double charts with paid TradingView? So I'm just going to maximize this screen, and it's just up here. So selecting layout on the top of my chart, you can set up any number of different things. Again, depending on your subscription level, you may be allowed to have 3 layouts or 4 layouts. Most people, really what you need is 2 if you're looking for the next time frame for Confluence. And then this is something that not a lot of people necessarily know. They're like, okay, well now my 2 charts look different than each other. I want them to look the same, or I want them to have the same indicators on both. Or maybe there's like something I've drawn up and it doesn't show on both. Also down here, you sync in layout the different things that you want to show as the same. So if you don't have the same symbol on, you might say, well, why do I have US 30 over here and I have, I don't know, DXY over here or something like that? It's because you haven't synced your symbols. The crosshair, I like my crosshair to be to sync on both, especially when I'm looking to see at what level, maybe say the aqua is on the 5 and where that lines up on the 1. Maybe we're looking at a counter trend trade and we're looking to see where price might go to. This is a great example right now. It's already broken and closed below the 50 on the 1. Where might it go if we get an EMA shift on the 5 and we look at how we would maybe target a certain area? If I want to know how those line up on a different time frame, I like my crosshairs to be in sync. Okay, Derek is asking, how do we get vertical lines to show up on multiple time frames? So again, this is when you're syncing something, and if you go into your drawing, whatever it might be, you can select where it shows up based on minutes, seconds, hours. I have unsynced certain things right now because when I'm doing homework, for instance, I mark up every trade that I take on the 1 minute, basically pretty much as I'm trading, so that when I have to go back and go over my trades for the day, I don't have to like scroll and just look at times and just look at whatever. And so I don't actually always want my markups to appear on all of my time frames, because it gets really busy looking. And especially if I'm marking up things on the 1 minute and then they're also translating on the 5 minute and the hourly and the daily, it gets pretty busy. You can include the date range to be synced. You can include the time intervals. And what I find sometimes if you do that is you'll be moving one chart. Oh, that's not the right one. You'll scroll back to a time on one chart and it'll, okay, now it's not going to do it for me. But it'll be moving both charts, and maybe you want to keep your 5 minute stationary, but you want to scroll back in time a bit on the 1 minute, and you don't want it to be taking your chart away. So there, it did it. See, I've gone back in time. Now my 5 minute moved, but I didn't want that to happen. So syncing only the things that you want to see are good. You can also right click on this and you could sync in layout. So come back here. So now that I've right clicked and synced it with both time frames, it appeared now on my 5 minute chart. Interval time referred to as sync. Yeah, so maybe I just explained that. So the time intervals and then the time and then date range. So if I was again to scroll back to a different point in time, it's going to move my other chart. But there's times where I only want to review a change in maybe candles or maybe what structure looked like on a lower time frame, but I want to keep this intact. Oh, something I just did. So I just removed this. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. Oh yeah, Tracy, right? That's so valuable. Like, and it's really interesting. Amy just shared that with me last week. She's like, I found a way that we don't have to have our markups appear on every single thing that we're doing. And so yeah, still literally learning things as we go along. So how to delete something? You can right click on it and you can remove it from your chart. You can click on it and hit delete on your keyboard. Or you can right click and remove drawings. If you do this one, it is going to remove everything that you've ever drawn up on your chart. So if you have old homework marked up, things like that, it's just important to know that whatever you remove, it's going to take everything off of that chart. So there's lots of times where I want to keep old markups, but I want to just remove one thing. And so I can do that either with just using my delete key, or I can go back in time. This, I think, also brings up something that's helpful. So when you are marking up your chart with homework, let's just mark up a boss candle here. Here's a bullish engulfing boss candle. I'm going to draw the fib on it. This is something that takes practice. And I think one of the things that everybody should do for homework is come on here and not only practice drawing up what you're noticing on the chart, but practice drawing the fib. People say to me sometimes, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so fast at that. How are you so fast at it? And it's because I practice a lot of times. And how I do it is a little bit differently than how Teresa does it. But for me, it's still pretty quick. And I'll show you some of the shortcuts and the ways that I do that. And so when I take a trade, for instance, I'll come here and I'll drop a little bubble, and maybe I'll come back to it afterwards. And so I could easily identify my trade. So it'd be like bullish and engulfing buy. Then I'll maybe come back and I'll put in how many points I gained on that. But just getting familiar with the tools and using them over and over and over again is how you're going to build up speed and confidence. And I can tell you, there's still times that I will draw something, I'll draw a fib and I'll be like, oh no, I did that one right. Maybe I've only been taking buys for a while. So I'll come in here, I'll be like, oh no, that's the wrong direction. Okay, delete. So I think, like, don't be embarrassed by the things that you haven't learned yet. There's so much to this that it is a little bit complicated at the beginning, and just don't want you guys to be afraid to try it, because I know for me, initially, I was listening to Kim Torres and she was spouting out like 10 different trades and 2 directions for each. And I could barely click through the chart fast enough to even understand what she was looking at. And then she's talking about different like areas and different zones. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to do this or be able to do it confidently. And so I would close my screen and I'd feel frustrated and maybe shed a little tear, even feeling like, how am I ever going to get this? When am I ever going to learn to do this well enough to actually take the trades that she's talking about when I can't even mark up my chart confidently? Yes, so the reason I wanted to show you guys this is because when you're marking up your homework and you maybe have some really great stuff on your chart, but then you don't want it to stay busy, or maybe you're worried that there's going to be a time you're going to come along and remove all drawings and that information will be gone. Oh, thanks, Tanika. Yeah, it was a real thing. And especially for people who have any level of like perfectionism, or maybe at some time in your life you felt like you weren't good enough, or people made you feel like you weren't good enough, and the only time that you received any validation is when you got the answer right. Yes, thanks, Tracy. Yeah, like, it can be a big barrier for people, and it's something that often we keep to ourselves and we keep it inside, and it's like shame or something, a limiting factor that I don't know, we let it affect us and control us for too long. And sometimes just being vulnerable and allowing yourself the opportunity to learn and practice, and to be bad at something for a little while before you get good at it, that's so important. So I want to show you guys how, once you've marked something up, you can save your progress and not worry about having deleted it. So at the very top of your chart here, there's a little camera. And when you click it, you have a few different options for how to save this information for yourself or for sharing it in the homework or whatever you like. So you can just save the chart image, and this will create a screenshot and save it to your computer. We've learned recently that because it saves to a PNG file, some Mac users aren't able to open this. And so just be aware of that. If you're like, oh, I saved it, but I can't seem to open it, that might be something that you want to try one of these other different options instead of having it saved to a PNG, or you may be able to change the file extension to like a JPEG or something like that. You can copy the chart image, which would allow you to like paste it somewhere. Or you can save the link. And so this is something that people do. Oh, good. I'm glad, Derek. Teresa specifically has been having some challenges lately opening PNG files. And
Teresa's computer might be really old, Leah. Sorry, guys.
Cadence's computer. Yeah. And the reason it came up is that I know a lot of you know that there's a program that some people are using called Janie, and Janie was saving screenshots in PNG and they weren't able to be opened. So that was how we learned about that. But you can copy this chart image. And so if you follow some of the educators, people will copy the link to their chart and then, oopsies, paste it. Oh, what did I do? Oh, it's taking a bit. Okay. You can
have one of Teresa's old ones you could paste to us, and because I changed my charts and I lost Teresa's chart.
Oh, okay.
I'm really sad. I'm just bugging. It doesn't matter. Only if you want.
I do actually. That's again one of the benefits of having a. Oopsies. Where are you?
You're allowed 5, aren't you? How many do you have?
I have.
Yeah, mine won't let me do the 5th one. It's upsetting.
I have 10 saved, so I would be able to. Let me just check through mine and see which one is one of Teresa's old ones. That
would be great.
Yeah.
Because I have goofy names on all of mine now.
Oh.
We still have the same chart, right?
Yeah.
Because you can still get the same chart through indicators. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. But you can see how this could be valuable for sharing your homework, saving your own chart images. If you want to go back, I actually like to, as I'm marking things up and I'm putting things into my trade journal, I will also save a link to the trade that I've marked up right on my Excel spreadsheet. And then that way, if I want to go back or I'm reviewing homework with my accountability partner, then she could even look at it too. You know, like I could be like, okay, here's the link, look at it, we'll go through it. And that's really, really immensely valuable for accountability to yourself, but also if you're looking for feedback, you're actually looking to improve and you want Teresa or, you know, somebody else to look at your work and look, see if there's areas of improvement. Is there something that you could have done better? Is there, you know, an entry that maybe you were too quick on or you're too short, too late on? It's really, really valuable to allow yourself to be humble enough to say, you know, I'm learning this, but I don't know if I'm doing it perfectly. And so how we can improve is just by practice and by sharing that. So then we could remove our drawings and know that it's already saved and we could see information, even though it's now gone from our chart. Okay, so Stephanie is asking, is there a way that we can scroll and get to active candle chart area? Yes, there's a few different ways. My screen right now, I have another computer in front of the big screen that I'm viewing this on. So down here somewhere at the bottom, there is something you can just click and it will take you, or you can say reset chart by right clicking and then using this little like reset arrow, and that will take you to current price as well. Oh, this is even something that people have asked me about before. They're like, okay, well, how do you, I don't understand, like, how do I zoom in, or how do I see more on the candles? So there's all of these different axes for your charts. They're all able to be manipulated. And so I also use my scroll wheel on my mouse, and I can zoom things on my scroll wheel by going in and out, and then times as well. Everything here is also able to be manipulated. So if you want to see your TDI, like these little kind of gray shadow areas, they're all able to be moved. And sometimes people say, oh my gosh, I got rid of something. How do I get it back? You can click, there's little like shadow buttons also that hide, but when you mouse over them, you can open things up or close them down. And if I wanted, sometimes people move their TDI to the top of the chart. This little arrow here will like switch the orientation of what you're looking at for your indicators. Sometimes they go off. So if you use this little drop down, it'll show you how many indicators you have on your chart currently. And sometimes they're hidden, these little eyeballs and X's. And then this gear is for settings. So it's for your individual indicator. That's where you can change the different inputs, or you can change the colors, or you can change what you're seeing if there's something that you like in particular, or you don't like it, or you want to change something. I think for a while I had changed the colors of my top of range and bottom of range to be, everything at the top was red, looking at it as a potential sell zone, and everything at the bottom was blue, looking at it as a potential buy area. Any questions about any of these things?
Leah, it's Dan.
Hi.
Can you demonstrate the magnifying glass
Yes.
for everybody? Thanks.
Okay, so sometimes we want to look at a particular area and we want to zoom right in. And so this magnifying glass over here, you click once and drag to the area that you want to see. And then it's going to bring those candles in nice and close for you. And so also if you want to click off something, I just did it for myself, but didn't explain it to you guys. So sometimes people are like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Control Z will undo your last activity, or these back arrows and forward arrows will do the exact same thing. But if you want to like get your zoom off, you just right click and now it goes back to a crosshair. So sometimes people are like, I just keep clicking it and it keeps like zooming, and they don't want that. Just know you can undo the last few things that you've done. And I just get really used to, because I use these magnet tools over here quite a lot. For instance, if I'm drawing something up like a trend line and I want to see if there's divergence, then I'll draw a trend line up here, and then I'll draw, I don't know, trend line down here. I don't have to keep going back and clicking the trend line option because I have this pencil with a magnet turned on. So it means it allows me to keep repeating the same axis. Would auto reset it back. Tracy, do you mean this reset? The bottom right. Oh, I can't see the bottom right of my screen right now. I think it does. Yes, I think it does. Sorry, my laptop is in front of it, so I can't see everything that's normally on there. I'm so used to using PCs from my business world. So just with Windows applications, Control Z is like my really quick shortcut go-to that I use all the time. Auto's your best friend. That's awesome. That's great. But that's what the magnet does. If I didn't have the magnet on and I wanted to draw something, and then I wanted to try to draw it again, it's not going to do it, right? It's going to, now it wants to grab the chart and move it around. And I would have to click that item again, draw it again, click it again, draw it again. So if you know you want to use the same thing multiple times, the pencil with the magnet or the little lock, that's your friend. But it can also be frustrating if you don't know how to turn that off. Like maybe I want to stop drawing trend lines and I don't know how to get that off because it wants to do it again. Again, right click, we'll click off the last thing that I was doing.
That's awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome. And same thing with zoom out. If you just click it, once I've zoomed in, it brought up a little zoom out button. So just clicking that off will undo whatever you had just done as far as your zoom. Ruler is your best friend. It's something that Teresa always encourages us to get very familiar with using. And how we use it is click it on, click once on your chart wherever you want it to be. Maybe it's at, well, I'm going to click off this magnet. I'll show you why. When the magnet is on, it will snap to price. So if you're moving over something, you can see how it's wanting to go to either the lowest part of the candle, the wick, the body. It's trying to snap to and intuitively like make the assumption that it knows where you want to go. You want to go to the wick high. It's going to snap to those areas. But if you want to be able to draw something or you want to be a little bit more like general about an area, maybe you're like measuring over here from a place of resistance, but you wanted to, oopsies, you wanted to start the drawing or the measuring somewhere else. It won't let you if you have that magnet on. So sometimes, again, people get frustrated. They're like, it's not letting me draw something where I want to draw it. Just beware then that it's probably because the magnet is on. This happens a lot with trend lines. And, you know, you may not want it to snap to an area. You want it to be like a little bit more general. But also this measuring tool tells you more than just the distance that the candles have moved. It will also tell you how many bars it took to get there or the time frame. And so because I'm on a 5-minute chart right now, it's showing me that 6 bars moved 171 points, and it took 30 minutes to do that. All of these little icons, they'll typically stay on the last thing that you used. And so with Boss Candle, we use the Bitcoin B as the B for the boss. So that one's kind of always on for me. And then again, I've favorited my long position, my short position, my fixed range volume profile. Here.
Where is that toolbar for you, Leah, if you don't mind me asking? I don't see it on your chart.
Oh, yeah.
I keep mine on my chart. That's all. I have a favorite toolbar, and
It usually is here. I don't know where it is at this moment. I'm usually moving it around because it's in my way. A lot of times it'll come up on the chart. It'll be somewhere I don't want it. And so I often move it down here into this gray area.
that's exactly what I do. Exactly what I do as well.
You
Yeah.
have to highlight the star at the bottom left of your tool.
There you go. That's exactly where it is. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
It's at the bottom of the chart of your toolbar.
Perfect.
There's a
Yeah,
star.
I can't see it currently because it's somewhere else, but over here. Sorry. Okay. Oh, thank you.
And then you can drag that anywhere you want it after you got it clicked.
Yeah, so I usually drag it down here, and then that way it's not on my actual chart. Thank you. What else? This is like market geometry. I don't really use any of this personally. For people who've learned harmonics, that's something that they might be looking for. I use this all the time. This call out tool is literally what I use almost every time I take a trade. I'll just quickly drop a little bubble, and then I know what to come back to, and I can do it later on, or I can do whatever. You can change things. So for instance, if I take a trade and it doesn't go my way, I'll change the inside of it to red so that I know that was an unprofitable trade. And it just allows me to come back and do a little bit more analysis. Of course, we want to do analysis on both our profitable trades and our unprofitable trades, but that's just something that I do for my eyes so that I can just catch it really easily. And that's, I think, one of the really nice things is that all of this is so personal. You can make it be whatever you want it to be. Can I show a vertical dotted line with text in it? Would be one with the word shift. Okay, let's see, a vertical dotted line. So I'm going to change my line to the style. So a vertical dotted line with text in it. I do this for news. Oops. Is this what you mean, Tracy?
Wow.
Word line with the word shift. Oh my goodness. It's hard for me to type without my glasses. Denim, do you want to unmute and show us or describe to me what it is that the word shift. By the way, everybody is welcome to unmute and speak however you like. As I say, I want this to be really interactive.
I was going to say, oh, go ahead. Good morning, Leah. Thank
I
you.
was just going to say thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. So dotted line with news is perfect. That's one of the things I have a problem with is I put a line on my chart, and when I go back later, I don't know what it is. So it's kind of upsetting. So I have learned now that I can label even the lines I put on it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye, Tamika.
I know you don't have any indicators on here, but isn't there the indicator that has, that shows the shifts? Yeah, right there, the little green dot in the bottom.
Yeah, I had them off just for the purposes of getting started here. Denim's charts are clean. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what Denim uses, so I don't know specifically what you're asking me to show, but if there is, where am I going? Starting routine, adding vertical lines for news and New York opening. Absolutely, Derek, that is such a valuable way to ensure that you're not missing something that's important. And that's something that's in my trading plan as well. I start my day and I make sure that I mark up anything that I can't miss or can't make a mistake with, especially because I'm currently doing FTMO demos before I try to take an FTMO challenge. And so if ever you trade during restricted news with FTMO, even once you've passed your funded account challenge, they will take away your account. It will be gone. That's it. There's no arguing with it. There's no negotiating. It's literally just gone. And so news is a hugely important factor. Especially, I find that if I get up extra early and I start trading well before we normally start our call, then I need to be aware of those things as well. And there's often news at 5, I'm in Pacific time, so 5:30 a.m. There's often news. It's when NFP happens. And so knowing and marking these things up first. And that's exactly what Mike just said. I used to just draw a line and then I'd be frustrated, and later on I'd be like, why, what is this line here for? And so just adding the text to it to tell myself why I drew that there is really valuable. What else can I share with you guys?
Sorry, Leah, could you explain again why they would take away your account?
Oh, because it's a really, really strict set of like parameters that you have to follow. And the main thing is that if they're giving you a funded account, so like you are receiving their money to trade with, they need to know before you pass your challenge or anything like that, that you are very, very, very strict about your risk management rules. And it's something that Teresa teaches so well and she ingrains in us. But they actually have news that will be considered restricted. And if you trade during that time, you know, it could go your way, but it could also go against you in a really bad way. And so for people who trade during, say, news, like, I don't know, this actually was news. This was NFP. So you can see how volatile this was. The candle opened here and then it plunged down. I think it was like a 200 point difference. Let's look here. We'll just measure it. So from wick to wick, this candle moved 288 points. On the vertical line, you can place the type anywhere. Oh, yeah, you can change it. So you can have it in the middle, you can have it at the top, you can have it on the left, you can have it in the center. You can change the orientation of it. So whatever you like, whatever makes the most sense for you. Sometimes yeah, you could create a template with it. You could save it how you want it to be. And then it'll always come up with the same colors that you use, the same text that you use. I find for myself, it's so easy for me to just quickly type news. So I don't necessarily save it as a template, but you certainly can do that if that's something that you use all the time and you find it's valuable for you. So quickly back to FTMO, they just need to know that you follow risk management rules and that you follow rules in general. Like, they don't want to give you 200,000 of their dollars to have you go and gamble, and maybe you took this down and you caught it right to the bottom and you were successful in that trade, but the chances of it going against you, the chances of what if you got into a buy right here and it went against you 288 points. Like, that's how people blow accounts, because they gamble with things like that. And then they're sure that something's going to go their way. And when it goes the opposite way, it's bad news. When I first started learning to trade, Trump was in office, and there would be many times that he would just tweet something and then the market would react violently. And I had a trade go against me to the tune of over 600 points in about 3 minutes. And I was at work, so I couldn't actually manage the trade. I couldn't actually focus on anything. My work day was basically ruined because I kept checking my phone. I kept thinking like, okay, it has to come back. And I didn't close the trade because I didn't want to be in that much drawdown. But like, that was my bad. And that was even being so bold as to think that I had time to enter a trade and then set the stop loss. This is why Teresa says, set your stop loss first, then take the trade. And sometimes people think, well, how do we do that? Well, let's say on these candles here, if I think that there might become an engulfing candle here, based on this red one as it's painting, and I might be looking for a trade. If it happens, then I already know that my last fractal is down here. So I can look and see what is price on this candle quickly. The low on that is 32128. And so I would go spread times 2 below that low. I don't even need my fractals indicator on anymore to know that that's the last low that I would need to set my stop loss below. And so because I already know what that price is, I can put that in if I was doing it on my phone or if I was doing it on TradingView or however I'm trading. I can put that number in already, even as this candle's painting, in anticipation, even as any of these candles were painting. I could have been waiting for a trade knowing that if I'm looking to buy, this is the low that I'm going to have to set my stop loss below. And so I can already have that number ready to go before I even consider executing a trade. But yeah, it's all about risk management. It's all about protecting your account, protecting your capital. And then if you're trading for a funded, like a prop firm, that you definitely want to make sure that you're following their rules, because they're giving you the money to trade live. And the reason I'm working towards that is for a couple of reasons. One, the challenge of doing it shows that I've learned enough that I can be disciplined enough to like achieve that, which I think is a great achievement, but also because having the ability to trade with a $200,000 account, whereas I have been working on growing a smaller account up to that level, but it would be a greater like starting point, because even 1% of that a day is life-changing. How do I add spread back to the top left of my chart? So here, currently Global Prime is showing a spread of 2.6. I don't know how you add it back if it's not there. I think you have to be either logged into a broker that allows you to trade on them, because I know that sometimes spread isn't there unless you're logged in. I don't know, Stephanie. I'm sorry if I'm not answering this right. I think sometimes it depends on what broker.
I believe that's buy and sell buttons, right? And the spread is in between them. So that's why it's there. So it'd be depending on which broker you're using. If you're using a broker on TradingView, then you will have your spread there. But if it's not your broker, remember it's not your spread, right? So that's why Teresa always says it's important you follow on your broker's chart if possible, or not, right? So
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually, yeah, it's under trading, and again, I can't see it because it's over here. My computer. I'll set
yeah,
this
paper trading turn on.
But with trading, one-click trading, that's what I just shut off. So
Yeah.
I'll do that more tomorrow with you guys. I'll show you a lot more about how to trade on TradingView and how to affect different things on your chart relating to that, how to set your stop losses, how to calculate risk. But I think this is maybe a good place to wrap up for today. If you guys have any last minute questions or things you want me to go over, I'd be happy to do that. And then we can come back tomorrow and do some of the more advanced things.
I'm grateful for your time, Leah. Thank you very much. I learned a couple things, which is awesome. And aha moments. That's exactly right. Much appreciated. Much appreciate the group. Enjoy input from other people, because as a group, just think if we can become one in sync, mind blowing where we can be, right? If we could all trade like Teresa, we could be with Teresa, and that's what Teresa wants for all of us, I believe, Leah, right? Is to be on her holidays with her, learning or trading, or playing with her kids or playing with our kids, and we're just lucky that this group is so valuable.
Oh, I agree.
And
Thank you guys so much. And thank you. Yes, Tracy, everyone who shares anything, even like, that's why I say, if there's a question that pops up in your head, let's go over it together. And if I don't know the answer and somebody else knows the answer, it's just sharing value. It's sharing knowledge. And that's so incredibly powerful that without this community, I would have quit a long time ago. Because try to imagine learning all of this on your own and not having somebody that you can ask the questions of. Like, How frustrating would that be?
Okay, I've got some questions.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding, I don't know, like a newbie. Oh, wait a minute, I am.
You are.
What is a fib?
It's Fibonacci.
Oh, okay.
How do I explain this? So there's a Fibonacci golden ratio that basically happens everywhere in nature.
I'm
And
aware.
yeah, so, and it's a mathematical equation that at certain levels, things tend to retrace. They tend to move, like, as you know, the market moves in waves, right? Like
Yep.
nothing is ever, well, not always, but it's rarely ever just straight up and straight down. It moves in waves, and every time there's a pullback, it's called a retracement, and it often moves at certain levels that would be considered potentially a Fibonacci level. That's a retracement. Okay, let's do a retracement quickly. So, I'll zoom in here. So when we draw a Fibonacci retracement, you can see that from this run down, candles at approximately 9:40. Intertrade sell point. Okay, Sandra, I'll come back to yours in 1 second. Oh, thank you so much, Jim. I'm so glad that you've learned, and Mike and like everyone, if you've learned even one little tip today that helps make this easier for you or helps you understand it better, then it's absolutely worth it. And I really appreciate you guys sharing and participating and being with me. The fact that we had like 18 people on at one point, I wasn't expecting that. I expected like a few people on a Saturday. So it's really, really cool. But these different levels between, so there's Fibonacci numbers. How do I say this best? See, this is an area where I obviously need to spend a little bit more time learning how to teach it, because if you can speak fluently on something that you know, oh, Remy's gonna play with the toy now. Sorry, guys. Then you know it well enough to share. But if you don't necessarily understand it that well, then you need to practice. So there's Fibonacci numbers, a Fibonacci sequence, and that is every number in the sequence added to the previous number. So it starts at 0, and then 1, and then 1, and then 2. And so each number previously added to the next one creates the sequence. And it's the ratio of the difference between those numbers that gives us different Fibonacci levels. And so a lot of people look for retracement levels in between the Fibonacci. You know what? Can I come back to this tomorrow?
You're doing so good, Leah. Leah, you're doing so good.
You're doing well, but you know what? I'll go study a snail.
Well, and the other thing I was gonna say is like, so what do you have? You can show him like, what do you have on here? The TP1 and 2?
No, I understand I just was wondering what Fib stood for.
Oh, Fibonacci, yeah.
Yes, Fibonacci.
Okay.
A mathematical genius.
Another thing I think is cool to share, Leah, is just on the regular one that we use whenever we're marking up charts, to show the golden zone of the, like that one probably wouldn't work because sometimes there's a pullback and it comes, you know, into the golden zone. And so if there's like an example to show, there's some of them, that will hit the golden, those numbers that are in gold that she has. And it's just kind of one of those moments where, you know, just hold your breath and understand that it's part of the retracement process before it will, you know, sometimes go up into profit. But so yeah, I think these are fascinating. The Fibonacci, the tool, it's really, really helpful.
I agree. And learning about it gave me a lot more confidence as well. Even when I first started learning and I was watching harmonics and I was learning about market geometry, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what's a Gartley? What's a sharp? What are these different things? They look exactly the same to me. And then when I had learned Fibonacci and understood it a little bit better, and then came back to understand that the different patterns had different names based on the depth of the Fibonacci retracement, then I was like, oh, okay. So that's why people could see the difference between a Gartley and I don't know, shark with their eyeballs, is because they were able to eyeball how deep the retracement went. When to me, they looked like the exact same patterns. But yes, the golden zone is the 50% 382 on a Fibonacci extension that Jenny's right. In this example, it didn't ever come back and touch it. I don't know. Okay, let's use this one. So if we, actually, I'll just draw it fresh. If we took a trade based on this engulfing candle, probably wouldn't necessarily because of where it is and what it is. But you can see how we might have entered at the close of this candle. Then we would have come into actually quite a lot of drawdown with this candle, but a retracement to the 50% 382 is a normal place for a Fibonacci retracement that is then going to continue on with its trend.
And you got to remember Fibonacci's are manipulated by individuals too. Like the one I have is totally different than the one Leah's showing right now too, right? But if you go into that area up on the toolbar, there's a whole bunch of different Fibonacci's, right?
Yeah, so I just set up my colors as something that my eyes can understand a little bit. And I have Patrick's purple zone in here as well. So I made between my 100% and my 1618. That's Patrick's purple zone. So rather than, like, I do have both of them set up as a template. But I thought, well, since that is the area of our first extension on the way that we trade with Teresa, I just set it up to be purple in here so that I also understand if I use it as a purple zone for Patrick's strategy, that I don't have to have two. Can I
Awesome.
screenshot my settings? Yes, I can. If you guys want to take a quick screenshot, or I just created a screenshot as well, I'll be able to create a JPEG from this and can share it with you guys. I'll share it in the Catch You on the Pip side group. But also, this is a little bit different. This is still Teresa's settings. I just have different colors set up. So Teresa, all of these ones are green, and I have a screenshot of her settings as well if you want to.
What do you go can you go to coordinates on that?
Yeah.
Leah?
Oopsies.
Sorry, I just wanted to.
So when
can I ask another newbie question?
Yeah.
What does the abbreviation TDI stand for?
Traders
You don't have to go,
Index.
Sorry?
Traders Dynamic Index.
Oh, okay, great. I had that one right. Okay, perfect. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so Mike, I think maybe what you're looking for on here is when I draw my fibs, I change the coordinates of where they paint to so that I can see them spread out a little bit differently. When Teresa draws them, she does.
No,
Oh, you got it? I'll just explain it.
yeah, no, what mine shows up as pips and points, right? So it actually shows up as points.
Okay.
So like I drew one on one, and my TP4 it tells me my TP4 is 32,072, right?
Oh, yes. So that's down here. I can have prices turned on, and it'll tell me the price. Or
I think you can have both too, can't you?
Yeah, you can have price, you can have levels, you can change if you want it to be in percentages. All of these things you can do on here. So I keep my chart a little bit cleaner when I was drawing up things the other day, because Teresa had us drawing every single engulfing candle or every single boss candle got drawn up. And so if I had prices on it, but I also had like one after another, after another, after another, it was just overlapping too much.
That's perfect. You can have both. Maybe I'll turn both on. I like that because you hear about these Fibonacci levels, but I don't really understand them, right? So again, it's amazing how far you can get into Fibonacci. It's like ask Jake one day, and if he has time, it's quite interesting, right?
I agree. Jake is, and I think rightfully so. It's so interesting. But you like hear his voice and his face light up if you start talking about Fibonacci with Jake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I never thought of it that way. That's exactly right.
Okay, so let's leave it there for today. But thank you guys all for spending time with me this morning, and I hope you got some value. And if you did, please leave some comments in the Facebook group and just let everybody know, if you know other new people or you know people who are maybe struggling with how to just use the charts. Everybody is welcome, and there's no silly questions. And yeah, I appreciate every single one of you so much for being here and for trusting me to like be your host and be your guide. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
No silly questions. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Leah.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you all. See you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Have
No,
a
I
good
gotta
day,
go do my
guys.
other jobs. I gotta go. Everybody have a great day.
I hope you don't hurt yourself in any way removing snow.
Oh, don't worry. I use machines.
Good.
So I need a couple plow operators. If anyone wants to volunteer,
It's a bit of a far drive.
have a wonderful day.
Bye.
It is a bit of, and dangerous right now because of the roads. So you guys all have a great day.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.